89.3 2GLF.
You are now listening to Three Quirks and a Twerk at 89.3 FM.
This is my station.
Action.
It's just insane and I love it.
Entertainment.
Hey guys, it's Selena Gomez.
Hey, this is Ed Sheeran.
Hey guys, it's Taylor Swift.
Entrepreneurs.
You need to learn this business, and this is the time to do it.
And empowerment.
Become an insider. So you have to know the rules before you get in the game.
It's Friday.
I can't believe that it's freaking Friday.
YB Moody, shake that booty and tune in to the voice of the continent.
You're definitely tuning in with the Three Quirks of Turk, 89.3 FM. YB Moody, Darren, you got to shake your booty as you always do, brother, hey?
Absolutely. Friday afternoon. It's wet, but we're still happy and we're getting ready for a great show.
But can you believe it's Friday? This week has just gone by so fast, mate. It's like a UFO just came over, took over this week. Where's this week been? Like,
tell me about it.
Seriously.
Every week.
Every week's been a bloody awesome week. So what's been in your world, Darren? What have you been up to these days?
What have I been doing? Yeah,
besides pushing penguins and playing around with all the bloody hot cars over your side, what else has been happening in your world,
mate? Sounds too good. Sounds too much fun. I've been working away, recruiting away.
Yeah, love
doing
it.
some podcasting.
Yes.
Just doing some content, getting ready for this week's show. That's been a fun one.
But it's interesting that when we're talking about content and producers out there doing content, these days everyone's talking about content. Yeah. It must be so challenging to be able to sit there and come up with an idea and then find a way to execute that idea and get it out there to the rest of the community so they can share and love your story. And everyone talks about stories all the time, right? But in terms of podcasting, you do a lot of podcasting, and now that you're helping us with radio, which one's more challenging, the radio or the podcasting?
Definitely the radio.
You think so?
Podcasting is a little bit more scripted and prepared.
Yeah, that's right.
Whereas radio is very off the cuff and very impromptu, and it's fun and live and jumps around, so it's a lot of fun. So it's a great skill set, and it's fun for me to kind of.
And you're enjoying yourself, brother? You're enjoying yourself with the Three Quirks?
I am. I'm having a great time with the Three Quirks.
I love that. I love that. So we've actually got Mark David, who is the leader in the Australian comedy, joining the Three Quirks and a Turk today in the 89.3 FM 2GLF network. Mark David, how you doing, brother?
Hey, good. How can you not be happy, seriously, in this city?
Oh, you'd be surprised, mate. A lot of people are still not fucking happy,
surprised. But we live in this amazing city. There's so much to do, so much to see. It is wet. It's a little bit, you would say, I guess, on the cusp of miserable. But seriously, look around at the things you can do in this place.
That's right.
It is endless, utterly endless.
Yes.
100%.
You know, that's my position. I'm staying with it.
Yep.
But let me ask you something. I'm always intrigued, right? Mark David, that's like two first name. Where's the surname? I'm expecting like Mark Nguyen, David Nguyen, but you've got Mark David as in two names.
I do. It is, look, you're often told never trust someone with two first names.
Correct.
I would agree.
And he's a comedian as well.
I think it is, it's something that you grow up with as a kid. And you answer to both, like David, Mark, David. You don't even hear it anymore.
Yeah.
You just, it becomes synonymous. I think, shortening the name, people give me nicknames.
Yeah.
I think I grew up with nicknames. It's hard to make something kind of funny out of Mark, but it was Marky Mark, or I guess I grew up the era of Funky Bunch.
Yeah.
That went, Mum calls me Mickey, I think, but no one really calls me by my name.
What about a middle name? Have you got a middle name?
Oh, I do, but I don't use it. I don't use it, and you wouldn't believe it. The initials A. I had to tell my parents when I was about 14. Mad is my initials. Mad. I said, "Do you realise this?" And they're like, "No. What are you talking about?" I'm like, "My initials are Mad."
Oh my! Oh, it is too.
It is too, right? They had no idea. Yeah. So I two first names. Hey, but it is actually it's in my bio. You got to run with it. Born with two first names. Yeah.
You ever wish that you actually have a surname? You ever go to bed one night and you cry yourself to bed? You think, why not me with a surname, mummy?
You know
and dad?
what?
Why?
You know what? You're getting closer to having me. My dream is Nguyen. Is Mark Nguyen. You know what? I've lots of Vietnamese friends.
That's
lots
it.
of Vietnamese. They're always very lucky.
That's
it. The Nguyen's.
The Nguyen's.
There you go.
You married a woman Vietnamese. She goes, show me the money first.
Yeah, very lucky.
I'll show you lucky.
Beautiful people Vietnamese. I've been there quite a few times actually. I love the place.
Yeah,
also lovely to eat. I'll tell you something. I went there about 15 years apart. And the first time I was there, the building, it was in Ho Chi Minh, was the tallest building was the press club. Yeah. And it was 4 stories high. I tell you, I went back 15 years later. Oh, boy.
Have you been to Landmark?
It is like an Asian powerhouse city now. It is incredible. If you haven't been, everybody, get yourself to Vietnam.
I just came back from there 2 weeks ago, mate. Wow. Oh, my God. It is unbelievable.
I've been there before. It was the best holiday ever.
Yeah, it is.
Around the whole place.
I kind of like, it's a place that I give myself a preparation of at least 5 kilos to put on when I go there. Just prep and go, look, it's going to happen. Yeah. And it's, I mean, it's an Asian powerhouse city, but still relatively cheap for Australians, and you know, and also their portion sizes are smaller than my big fatty self likes. So
you go for double.
You just order double, or order 2, order everything. I'll have 1 of everything.
That's right.
Did you have pho every day, or
you start the day with it.
Yeah,
you know,
in a hotel, it's pho every morning.
Australians think you're crazy if you want to start the day with a curry, but you know, a lot of countries do, right?
They do. Indonesia too as well. Indonesia love the curries and rice and octopus and everything else.
Anything. If it lived, Indonesians are eating it. Oh, mate. I think.
Well, the thing
is, cooking it well too.
That's right. And I think you guys are from Indonesia and I'm from Vietnam, so I guess in many ways the culture is very similar. Yeah. But in Australia, we're used to wake up in the morning, wheat bix, Vegemite, avocado, but in Indonesia and Vietnam, well, mate, pho, beef, stew, curry. Mate, that's protein right there.
I'd say growing up as my mum, to tell everyone, my father was born in Indonesia. My mum was born in Singapore, but I'm Aussie, of course. Yeah. And my mum, we grew up eating. She loved Vegemite, but geez, her trying to cook white people food was awful, absolutely awful. The steaks are one of the worst things I had in my life. But the worst, hope you're not listening, Mum. Sorry, was she used to make chicken mince bolognese. Now, I don't know if you know how disgusting that is, but it is awful. Absolutely. Bolognese.
I'd like to try that.
Don't.
I'd like to try
that. So she would try that, but, we grew up eating Indo-Malay food, rendungs and alike, and the sambals. And
Kerupuk every day.
Chili with eggs.
So you can handle chili, right?
Oh, I love it. Chilies, right? I think I'm actually a little bit immune now, unfortunately. Like, I've got nephews, and they'd say, Uncle Mark, is that hot for making food? I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know. If I tell you it's not hot, I'll probably kill you. You get desensitized, right?
You do. And I think when you were born, your mum probably gave you a milk bottle with a bit of a chili sauce in it.
Probably a breast milk was probably level 10 sambal heat.
That's why you're used to it.
Totally. Yeah, it comes, but it kind of makes food tasty. But you do get addicted to it, right?
No, that's right. So tell me though, it's interesting because you've got a degree, right? Yeah, from University of New South Wales, a management degree. Yep. And then you decide to do bloody comedy. As an Asian parent, I will kick your ass. Son, what's wrong with you? You got a degree and now you become a comedy?
I can go even weirder. So I went immediately leaving school. I worked for Qantas actually as an aircraft engineer fixing planes.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was my first job. I didn't last. I didn't do the whole apprenticeship because I hated it. Absolutely.
Everyone would love to work for Qantas.
Sounds good, but sounds great. Like, it really honestly does. But I'll give you a little bit more insight. Yeah. Back in that era, I'm 47 now, but, back then there was literally 10,000 men per shift. Men per shift. I'm not talking maybe 3 women, but men. And when you put that many men in one place at one time, have you heard of the book Lord of the Flies? It turns into anarchy. And in that era, you could get away with it. Thank goodness we've really updated our, what you can get away with, in workplaces and environments. But, I really actually, not that I'm particularly sensitive. I work in comedy, right? Clearly I'm not. But, environmentally, it was just a bad place. I'm sure they've changed their practices now. Don't sue me. But in that era, it wasn't fun. And I'm sure in a similar vein in a mechanic shop. And frankly, you're a glorified car mechanic. It's a bigger car, flies in the air. But
it's bigger.
It's a flying car.
Much bigger. Flying car, yeah.
It's more complicated than a car.
A little bit more, yeah.
More complicated.
A lot more rules.
You do not want to forget about a spanner.
No, you got to make sure you change every service, you change the windscreen wiper blades, and you get charged for that. And so then from then I went to uni because I hated it. That job. What else do I do.
Wow.
So my sister was in, she was in the uni and a few cousins, and I had no idea what I was doing, frankly. And I just enrolled in a course, and I kind of did the course. Never worked in a day in it, not a single day. I was a musician for many years, which now he's trying to kind of get in towards how I get ends up in comedy.
You're a damn good guitarist.
Well, I was all right.
He was fantastic.
It was an ornament now, frankly, in my life. But my first cousin, another cousin, believe it or not, I've got 52, I believe, on two sides. And so my cousin Haskell, he was my first cousin. He was a professional comedian and a very, very good one. Yeah. For those older people listening, there was a TV show called Tonight Live with Steve Vizard. Yep. It was kind of like it was a massive talk, probably the biggest, I would say, Australia's ever had, bigger than Rove, kind of like a Tonight show. And Haskell was a sidekick comic on that. I was a musician. He asked me, I used to drive him to gigs because he was, not capable. He didn't drive, actually. So when I was 15, I used to drive him to gigs. When you got your license, 15, 9 months, I think, was that a year or something like that.
I have no idea.
Something like that. And I used to take him to gigs, and I used to, in that era, you could go in. The pubs didn't care.
Oh, that's right.
My dad didn't drink or anything. I was driving, but you'd go in and watch, and that's how I fell in love with the art form. And then Haskell and I started a company. We registered the company in 1999, and it's since changed registration to a proprietary limited since then. It was just a smaller company, so I got into comedy via him.
Oh, wow.
And we had worked together for many, many years. Sadly, he's no longer with us. He passed away 10 years ago, actually, but that happens. Be healthy, people. I run the company, so I always did run the company. Haskell was a performer. He kind of stopped performing, but he taught me a lot. I dare say, without a chance, there's no chance I'd be in this industry without him.
Wow.
I learned.
And there's no regrets? There's no regrets at all?
No, none. I've always loved the arts. Obviously, he was a musician, as I said, and I love the arts. I have an affinity with it. The community is wonderful. It can be annoying like any other job. My job is twofold or three, four, fivefold when you run your own business. Any business owner can tell you it's not about the glory most of the time. It's admin. You got a life of admin. Like we're sitting here right now having fun, guys.
This is
right?
admin.
It's just admin.
That's correct.
Admin to admin to admin. So there is glory, and the glory for me, like last night, it was in a pub in Sydney. If you're listening in Sydney, you might know it's called the Ettermoga. That was in Rouse. It's in Rouse Hill. It's a giant pub. The beer garden's bigger than most pubs. Frankly, it is huge.
Bloody
and I was at a show last night. For me, that's the glory. It's the glory of the hour or two of a show, and it's all the build up to get to that part. So the regrets, no, not really. Okay. Surely you want to be challenged more in your life at times, and we all feel that. And I think, sorry, I'm going rambling here, but it's a good question, and I think I got a better answer for you. COVID kind of saved me in it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hold that thoughts, mate. Hold a thought, Mark, David. We're going to get the news on, and then we'll come back after that. And I'd like to maybe dig your brains a bit more in terms of the inspiration, because as a comedian, it must be so challenging to actually get people to laugh at your freaking joke all the time, right? But we'll be right back in with the Three Quirks and a Turk, 89.3 2GLF. And this afternoon, we are talking about comedy, fun, and definitely food for our listeners out there. Make sure that you drive home slowly. It's raining out there. The weather is 22 degrees, possible shower. This Saturday is 23 degrees and Sunday 17 degrees. We've got Mark David, the leader in Australia's comedy. He produced over 700 live shows across New South Wales each year. He's joining us in the studio. And Mark David, welcome to the Three Quirks, mate.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's good fun talking to you, lovely gentlemen.
Tell me something that I'm always intrigued, like a comedy. A lot of people say comedians, they're very depressing people because their life is so scripted. Right, so when you go on a show, you script your content, you script your story. But in the real world, a lot of comedians are just freaking really quiet, meek and mild people. Is that true, Mark? David?
I would say on the average, I'd say it's pretty true. Like I think there's two sides. Once you get to know them personally, and they can you earn each other's trust, then they can be funny. Because I guess most of the stuff off stage has to be said off stage. You can't really say a lot of the stuff on stage, and it's mostly funnier with each other. With the comedians with each other, it's probably they're much funnier. They're on stage, I would say. But for the most part, sitting in a car, with someone that you've just met, who's a professional comedian, they might be a household name. They might be very famous. It's usually not funny, right? They're all people. They're all talking. like they everyone has the same problems in life, but your observation is pretty accurate, I would say.
Yeah.
They're insular people. They're overthinkers. They're observing a lot. They're thinking about the ins and outs of life.
But how do you work with? Now, this is the thing that we want to dive further into, right? As a comedian, as a singer, you always need to know your audience. So how would you gauge your audience to make sure that particular joke was bloody funny, or maybe I should not tell that joke or that story because this is the wrong crowd? How would you gauge that? Because that would be the biggest challenge for a lot of people.
I think it comes with experience for the first part. The young comedians typically will work inner cities because that's where the bulk of the gigs are, and their repertoire is really not that vast. They're working on some themes that are very common. That will be universal for all. I think the tests, and Sydney's a very good city for this because it is vast. I mean, we're in Liverpool right now, right? Yep. And it is different. It is different to inner city. It's different people living here, but also people think differently. Not vastly, but they do. So it's again really good questions you got coming up. So I think for the more experienced ones, I'd like to say they have different gears. They change gears. So if that gear doesn't work, they can change to another one. Okay. And you can use that metaphorically, as in material/gear, or in a car gears. Change gears, downshift. But I think they like Darren said. They do test. They'll throw out some jokes and go, how did that work? And did they pick up on that? Can they push that a little bit further? And they do. The better ones will, continually test and push boundaries and, have fun with it. And even the best ones are great at crowd working. And, they can eke that out of the crowd and do it on the fly. So although there is scripted material, my favourite ones personally are ad-lib. And they will make up material as they go. They're just naturally funny, and the little inflection in a voice or a little twist of a sentence. I love that. Off you go, boom, laugh.
I love that. I love how you use the metaphor gears. I guess either gear 1, gear 2, gear 3, depends on your target audience, right? But then, Darren, you also do podcasting as well, and you would understand that with your content, you're always going to make sure that you tailor to the right audience as well.
Definitely.
Can you relate to this, and how can you relate that, say, in terms of the podcasting world?
Yeah, definitely. Everything's about testing. So it's about seeing how many likes, how many shares, are people responding to this type of content versus that. And even the greats, like the comedians and any great artist, they'll do their main gig where they know their stuff works and it's proven, it's tested, but then they'll go to some of the other smaller after hours little theatres and clubs just to test stuff and see what works.
You're 100%
and then
right.
come back again.
And there's another way to do it. We call it bookending. So, you come in with a joke that it's tried and tested, it's bulletproof, and bulletproof's a good term. That's going to work anywhere, everywhere, no matter what goes wrong. And then they'll throw out some material that, is questionable or they're working. It may work, may not, but then bookend it with something that's, again, bulletproof. It works. I mean, it's the same thing, right?
Same thing. All content, really. You're always testing. So
you're also the founder of Club Happy Ending. Now, for our listeners out there, for our listeners out there, please get your mind out of the gutter. Okay, we're talking about Club Happy Ending as in terms of comedy, right?
Yeah.
Where the hell did you get that name from?
So it's Happy. Its full name is Happy Endings Comedy Club, and may I remind you two gentlemen and all the listeners going the wrong place.
I'm not going the wrong place. Darren's is going the wrong place.
The Oxford English Dictionary suggests a happy ending is a story that ends in a really lovely way, usually with a laugh. Okay, so
fantastic.
I think look, I've been doing this for 25 years now. I can't believe I'm even saying that.
Yes.
And Happy Endings is in its 15th year now. So Happy Endings Comedy Club is in King's Cross. Thank you.
Well done.
And it was in the era where King's Cross was a little bit dirty and a little bit rambunctious and a little bit wild. Yeah. And also totally sick to death with all of the generic names of comedy places. Right. The Comedy Cellar, it's
comedy store,
they're all the same
house.
names. And I just honestly couldn't bear it. So I thought, honestly, it took me a while. And when I came up with Happy Endings Comedy Club, and in King's Cross, it really worked, right?
Perfect.
Oh, bloody oath it worked. If I was drunk on a Friday night, I'd be like, mate, I'm going to that place for a happy ending.
I have to admit, we did get a lot of calls early on from customers that there was two two sides. One, wondering if it was something untoward, or a lot of like, listen, I'm bringing my wife here. You got it is a comedy club, right? It really, tell me, it is, right? And I'm like, yes, it is a comedy club. Yes, you do walk out with a happy ending, but, you know, the metaphorical one with you laughing. So the name, look, I think for me, any great business, and, you know, I love it, but it is a business. Say it once, only name. You got to say it once.
Yeah. That's it. So where does the corporate gigs come in? So you actually do a lot of corporate events as well?
Yeah, so in twofold. It comes with one, firstly, in the happy endings, we do corporate functions and events. Yeah. And that name is, because it's been around so long, that's softened in terms of, I guess, the weird name of it. In the beginning, it was like corporates wouldn't come because it sounded weird, but it's a well-known club in Sydney now. That's one part. The other part is functions and events. So today, as an example, we have a lovely, great mate of mine, wonderful comedian, also on another radio station he is on. It's Steve Philp. He did Linfield's rugby club event today at North Sydney Leagues. Okay. So Steve will go there and entertain the previous past players, new players as a fundraiser.
Nice.
That'd be one, or it might be for, you know, booked one today for Bank of Queensland. You know, doing an event for them. So I think, you know, when I would have had not having any corporate experience, right? I've had zero, as we all are aware now. I had no idea how many events banks and finance companies and all these do. They, of course, they have an awards night, or Cheryl's leaving, or, you know, 50th event for Bob, and you know, we provide entertainment, and more so now, comedy is a legitimate format of entertainment for Australians.
Of course,
we go.
Absolutely.
Wind the clock back 20 years ago. You probably didn't. You probably wouldn't have thought of doing comedy on a Saturday night, but now we do. So, you know, we've caught up, I guess, with the UK, which is, I guess, it's endemic in their culture, comedy.
I guess it's good to bring a bit of laughter into people's life, especially the way people are these days. They're so stressed with work and everything else. They're so consumed in the digital devices. It's good to be able to get them out there into the real world.
You talk of something, that's a really interesting point. I think that's fascinating that you thought of that, because it is the one format that you have to stay focused on.
That's right.
You cannot pick up your phone, and if you're doing a comedy club, your face lights up, and we all know, and the comedian's coming for you. So don't. And it's a dark room. And you have to really focus. You do. And that's where the laughs come from. So it is the last bastion of kind of truth. Comedians can say stuff that, I guess, radio, you know, even radio hosts can say it, but, you know, a lot of people on TV can't, and they can, and people have to sit there and listen.
That's right. That's right.
Love
That's
it.
right.
Love
So with the corporate events, so when corporate wants to book you guys out, do they then tell you or give you an idea of what kind of crowd you'll be expecting, so that you can prepare your material and briefing?
They do. So I think I flipped the board over for them because I guess being a corporate, they're firstly quite worried that you might say something wrong or offensive or racist. You don't have to worry about that anymore. Like, comedians are well adept to making people funny and not saying something misogynistic or not saying something, you know, racist. We don't need to in Australia anymore, thank God. We've eradicated that pretty much out of our industry. But I give them a questionnaire. So I send them a questionnaire. I also send them, frankly, my job is to alleviate their anxiety that it's going to go well, or going to go bad. You have to alleviate that, because Betty, who's worked at the Combank for 20 years, it's not her job to book a comedian.
That's right.
Someone's just said, hey, do you mind doing that? And she's worried she's going to look like a bit of a fool. So I have to relieve Betty's anxiety and say, you're not. You're going to look like a legend, trust me. And the questionnaire starts with that. You know, to make them feel comfortable that actually we're thinking about this.
What kind of question do they ask? Do they say, I want a comedian that's like this?
They typically do, but I kind of reverse that model and say, hey, you can give me your ideas, but I've been working this magic for 25 years. You can let me do it. And frankly, I'm better at it than them. I know the inside and outs of the comedian sets. I know how they gel with audiences, because I'm not just a face behind a desk. I actually at the shows. I was at a show last night, you know. I'll be at my club maybe later tonight, but I see them perform. I know how it works. And I also clearly, as you can hear, I love it. I love it. And I love making sure it goes great.
But here's the question for you though, right? AI and robots. And this is the biggest topic at the moment. Are you scared that AI will take over your job?
I think one simple answer, no.
Yeah.
I think that the scary part is in voices, and I could ask you the same question. You know, in the studios, there's a radio studio in Australia that's been caught using an AI voice. People didn't know.
Really?
Seriously, for 6 months.
Bloody hell.
It wasn't even a real person.
Wow.
They got caught. So I think in voices, we should all be scared.
Yes.
Not just us sitting in this room working in the arts. I think, manipulation of people's voices sounding like things is... I kind of think it's wrong. I think in comedy, I don't know about that. Maybe a machine can learn to make us laugh. Maybe it can. I think the inflections on someone's face, the way you change your tone, I think that's a long way off.
Yeah, I think there's a few layers on top of that to get comedy right.
Yeah. So I think yes and no. Okay. Mostly no.
Okay. All right. Let's hold that thought. Let's have another break. Darren, who's your daddy, mate? Who's your daddy?
Who's my daddy?
Who's your daddy,
my God,
mate?
what a question.
we kind of share, actually.
We share
Not
your
quite,
daddy.
but our fathers were born in Indonesia, weirdly.
That's right.
That's pretty weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
By the way, you can't see us, obviously, unless Darren puts this up, but Darren and I are both pretty white, by the way.
Yeah. Born in Indonesia.
Yeah.
How strange is that? Don't you love multicultural in New South Wales, mate?
Oh, we were just talking. We were just talking about the food and
That's
how
right.
lucky we are
Definitely.
to get a Cabra, and it's like you don't need a plane. You're being in Vietnam, and the food is unbelievable. Everyone's so friendly and happy. Like we're so lucky to live in this city.
You know, we are. I think if you travel around the world, and you have to admit that in Australia, Sydney, we are the lucky few to be able to have that lifestyle we have here. And I say to a lot of people, like, mate, live it here, love it, enjoy it, and leave that bullshit behind.
100%.
Leave all
agree
that
more.
bullshit behind.
There's
You know
a
what I mean?
huge rivalry in comedy, I guess, between Sydney and Melbourne.
Yes, there
and
is.
you hear that, and then we say in Sydney, like, who? Where?
Where?
Like
Melbourne?
Sydney, we just don't care.
We don't really
we
care.
actually, they got the beef.
That's right.
We don't care. Like we actually just don't care.
So Mark David, I was going to call you Marky Mark, mate. You know, Marky Mark.
You're not the
David.
one with the first.
Marky Mark. It's interesting. One of your saying is that you enjoy thinking.
It's quite rare these days.
Plus, drinking beer in the shower to think. Is that where you get your inspiration for having a beer in the shower?
Oh, yeah, like
And drinking beer?
it is like for me, the shower is like my favourite place to think.
I can imagine your water rates will be so bloody high.
Yeah, they are.
Water will be so freaking high.
They are, and including a beer in a hot shower, especially this time of year, right, when it's getting like cold enough to have a nice hot shower, and then an ice cold beer, perfect combo deal.
Yes.
Like if I could just sneak in some KFC in there and keep it.
Sounding like a Seinfeld episode.
If I would be, I might try.
Can you film that for us? We just want to see how long that's going to take, mate.
Oh
Chicken will
yeah,
be all
God,
soggy.
the Colonel. Always about the Colonel.
My God, the
Yeah, it is. It's a good place to think. I think I'm not the only one. Surely, listeners out there, I'm not the only one that loves doing this. It's seemingly a place where I don't have to worry about things. It's and free flowing thought comes and
You know
creativity
why? It's
comes.
because that's when you're accessing your subconscious. 'Cause
Yeah,
you're not
okay.
thinking
Yeah.
about
Shower?
anything in the shower,
Yeah,
or when you're
true.
driving,
Yeah.
or when you're eating,
Yeah.
and all these thoughts spontaneously just pop into
Hang
your
on,
head.
when you're saying driving, hang on, you got to think when you drive, Darren.
Yeah, but you can drive and you can do a few things at once. You know?
Can you? I'm thinking when you're driving, mate, you're just focusing on the freaking road, mate. Here you are, you say you can think on a higher level when
I
you're
can
driving.
I drive manual as well as think,
Oh, wow.
as well as look at the directions and look at my GPS.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
wow.
I can multitask with the best.
Darren is. He can.
Okay, I'm impressed. So, what's the next big project you can share with us?
I just it's a simple one, but a wonderful one, and it's just coming to light now. So the Beresford Hotel in Surrey Hills,
Yeah.
Great.
we're doing that's a Maryvale venue, a lovely one, really beautiful venue. They've got an upstairs kind of theatre of sorts. It's kind of people don't really know about it. So in the dance circles, I guess they do some big dance nights in there. But we're doing a series in there, which something it's called the Grandmasters of Comedy. So we've got people like Akmal in there. We've got Diruk Jayasinha, who's a wonderful Australian comedian. We've got Tahir, who I'm sure
Tahir.
everyone would know from Swift to Shift Careers and Fat Pizza and Here Come the Habibs and we've got Luke Heggie and also like combined with some of my favourites, people that people may not know, but frankly They're just as funny, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
They're the famous people. They're wonderful. Don't get me wrong. I love them to death. But there's other comedians out there, Sydney, and the world, that you might not have heard of them, but trust me, they are damn good. They have worked their craft. And they're bloody funny, so go and watch them. So, I can bring people along to shows like this, and they can see the other acts and go, wow, he's right.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Years ago when I was young, I used to go to the Harold Park
Hotel,
and there was a comedy amateur every Monday night.
I love that
I
day.
love that.
That you would say,
I love that.
Darren, that's genesis of Sydney comedy, the Harold Park.
Right.
So Haskell, who we talked about earlier, he started in there. Akmal, who used to call himself Peter Sala in those days.
I remember.
Yeah.
Peter, you got a bunch of acts. You got Peter Burner, you got Tommy Dean.
Little Effects. He was.
You got Little
is he still
FX,
around?
no, you've got, but yeah, even Kitty Flanagan's. That was the genesis of and really of Sydney comedy. The Harold Park Hotel is still around. The park is not.
So
by the way.
why aren't you guys championing and pushing for more comedy to bring back? Because I know, like, with a lot of jazz events now, they're actually bringing it back, like the Basement in Sydney. They're bringing it back. So I think you guys should champion for more comedy stores open up again.
I think it's very, very strong right now. So I would say there's about 30 venues across Sydney that I'm running. Wow. I'd say more so the public appeal is strong, so people are coming to watch, which is wonderful. I think what more could happen is, I guess Sydney City Council could get involved a little bit more. Let's push them.
That's
you know,
great.
you see a lot of funding, and the comedy is kind of like the little dicky child on the end that no one cares about.
That's right.
They get funding, they give funding, incredible amounts of money to the theatre.
That's right.
Mind you, who have benefactors for the theatres, and they don't need to have any more money, but the government's given more money because theatre's cool, and
That's right.
Is it cool? I'm not sure, but it has prestige, and comedy gets nothing. Sydney City Council.
Even Melbourne has a comedy week, but Sydney doesn't it?
It has a comedy festival, but I think it's privately run, but very well run. Century Entertainment run that festival, and it's on right now, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
There are. It's not. You wouldn't say it's as long as it's vast or as internationally recognised.
Yeah.
But it runs mostly out of Marrickville, in the Factory Theatre and the Enmore Theatre.
Yeah. Marrickville's got a lot of really upcoming events, like live
wonderful.
music and all that.
Wonderful
so
area.
I reckon you guys should start another one up.
Let's do one together.
Or even Glebe.
Let's do a Three Turks.
Three Turks.
Comedy Club.
Comedy Club.
Yeah.
It is
Happy ending.
with no happy ending.
With zero happy endings. Zero happy, but no ending. Okay. I think how cool is Marrickville? Also another
so
area
cool.
coming up in Sydney, Dulwich Hill.
Yes.
Dulwich Hill. That's on the way. Newtown's kind of lost the plot, I reckon.
Yes.
Love it.
It's
And,
amazing.
and what's it like managing comedians?
Oh, let's beep.
How long do we have?
I think, look, what can be both wonderful and very challenging.
Yeah.
Some over the years have had drug and alcohol issues. Having said that, the vast majority do not. The vast majority substantially don't drink. They don't even drink maybe a beer. And that's about it, because I've never seen a comedian get better after more than one beer. There's always their focus might go up after one. In fact, your reflexes go up after one beer, but they go substantially down after that. So does the mind. It can't.
Down
So I've managed many over the years at all levels. I manage a few now that I really, really love.
Okay.
I think in development of them, like in developing of the craft, is the bit I love best. Frankly, my favourite bit out of all of it is the youngsters coming through. They don't have to be young, I guess early starters to the craft.
Okay.
I love watching that development.
I love that.
It's a beautiful process.
Yes.
There's a lot of attrition, so a lot start, a lot never finish. Of course, like anything, but comedy's particularly rough on that because it's hard.
But with the young people, do you get bloody annoyed in the sense that they'll be on a freaking phone every 5 seconds, and then everything you tell them, it's like you're always wrong, they're always right?
I think you
get that a lot?
You learn very quickly to not tell them.
Clever.
Yeah, I think unsolicited advice doesn't go too well down in our industry. So you tend to not, maybe by maybe they don't get enough gigs is a good way of telling them. But I think for the most part the youth are okay. Like the youth are doing well. I think they're going to teach us a few things. Firstly, in a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah. I think so. I think more about how to live or not care as much as our generation does. Like we're so wound up with boring stuff.
Yeah,
But just
true.
get out and live a little bit more, or don't pick up your phone. They don't.
Yeah, that's so true. That's true. So your weekend, what's your weekend? What are you up to, Mark David?
Oh, interesting night. Tonight I'm going to see... I don't get a lot of time to see mates being at live gigs. And live gigs are nights that, we want to hang out with mates. But we're catching up tonight at an Indonesian restaurant called Shalom, of all names. It is Indonesian. It's halal too. And we're going to go do that and have a few beers. Maybe watch the Roosters game on TV. And my Roosters tragic, but we're going to get our ass kicked.
Love that.
And rightly so by the Bulldoggies. And then tomorrow night I'll probably head into the club in King's Cross. Happy Endings.
Yes.
Watch a few sets by some of my favourites. And that's about it.
So tell me, I'm always looking for places to go. So tell me with this Happy Ending club of yours. Is that like comedy every Friday, Saturday?
You got it. So we do 2 shows every Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
Shows go for about 2 hours with an intermission. There's usually 7 comedians on.
Okay.
So the way I build it is there's something for everyone. And also... the environment itself is, I didn't build the building. The building was built in the 20s.
Yeah.
But in your head, right, everyone out there, in your heads, imagine what a comedy club looks like, right?
Yes, okay.
It's this one's set over 2 levels. A cool, funky bar ground level. You go down some stairs into a basement. It's confined. It's tight. Dimly lit, low roof, cool chairs.
Yeah, I like
and that's
that.
what it looks like.
I like that vibe.
People, you can honestly hear gasps when people look in because they don't expect it, right?
Yeah.
Not their city doesn't really have these kind of places, but if you can transport yourself to New York in a comedy club, you're there.
So what about food and drinks?
Yeah, there's pizza on site, but you can't eat during a show, so you need to eat prior. So come earlier. You can have pizza because you can't laugh with food in your mouth, right? Oh. It's a bit weird doing that.
don't want any
Dangerous and weird.
projectiles as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So people often what ends up happening is people just stare at the comedian. They might be enjoying it. Yeah. But that's not what we're going for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. So if people want to reach out to you, what's your social handles?
Oh, you can look up at Happy Endings Comedy Club. Make sure you put the Comedy Club, people, folks. That could get weird.
Go down a
Just
rabbit
look
hole.
up Happy Endings Comedy Club. You'll find it everywhere. It's been around for a while. If you're looking up for corporate stuff, look up standupcomedians.com.au.
Okay.
It's all in the name, right? Standupcomedians.com.au. And we'll help you out with a comedian for whatever function it could be. It doesn't matter. We've done everything from builders groups to barristers, New South Wales, which is a really fun gig.
Love that. Oh, thank you so much, brother, for joining the Three Quirks. So we wish you all the best.
Pleasure.
And I actually would like to drop into this Happy Ending Club because I'm always in the
Three
area.
Quirks, we're all going to come to the Happy Endings Comedy
Happy
Club.
Endings. And we just tell the girls there'll be happy endings for them. All right, folks, you are tuning in to Three Quirks, 89.3 FM 2GOF.